Good morning and welcome to the Nurgle edition of What's New with Mike and Jeff. I'm your host, Mike, infected by the pus pox of Nurgle, and with me is Jeff. So,
I'm only infected by old age and a desire to take a nap at 2 o'clock every day.
yes, I don't know what happened to me. Um, Last week, it was on Sunday. I felt the tickle in the throat,
Right?
but didn't do a whole lot about it. Just kind of went about my day. Felt good all week at work. Then Thursday morning, I woke up and I'm just like, yeah, something finally took hold of me and is controlling me in such a way that I am just zapped of energy and feel like turd.
There you go. Yeah, I've been there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I don't, summer flu. I think that's a thing. But good morning, David. How are
Morning,
you?
David.
Speaking of David, so
What
last
did
week
David make you spend too much money over at
he did not make me spend any money other than pushing a shopping cart over to me, saying, "Here you go, Mike." Uh, so, um, so I went over to Andy's with the intention. So I had two objectives when I went to Andy's on Saturday. My intention was to pre-order the big box of the two Shermans coming out by Tatcom.
right?
That was my intention. I want to use one of those Shermans for our Thanksgiving um, special that we're talking about doing.
Right.
However, I asked the question, when is the 1/16 scale Sherman going to come back in production? And David, doing due diligence, went and talked to Andy. Andy came out and goes, well, we're not going to really reproduce that because the Korean version of the Easy 8 is a
Morning,
dual,
Mark.
good morning, Mark, is a dual purpose Sherman. When Andy redesigned it for the Korean version, he left all of the original stuff in there
Oh, okay.
and you can still build it. The only big difference is going to be the tracks.
Right.
However, the tracks that are in the Korean version of the Easy 8 were in late World War II Shermans.
Sure.
So there's just a track difference. But then Andy was like, I could have sworn I had another one of those that we found in the back warehouse. And my 1/16 scale is a project that Jason and I are probably going to do. Well, we'll get to that, but we were talking about doing next year as just like a buddy build thing. So Andy walked over the side and he was like, yeah, it's right there. There was the last of the World War II, I'm just going to say art box. The cover of the box is with the World War II version with the older tracks on the shelf. So I
So
picked that up.
so David did spend your money.
A little bit. I would
No,
say David
no, no,
spent
no.
it.
See, you're missing the bigger picture. What we're really seeing is the cunning and the forethought of Dave's ability to get the money out of your wallet. See, because I know instantly when you take money out of my wallet in that particular situation, I know exactly what you're doing. David was subtle and artful
Yes.
and actually made it look like it was Andy's fault. You wouldn't blame him. And I have to say, hats off, Dave. Hats off, sir. Well played.
Yes. Good morning, Lenny. How are you, buddy?
Danny, hey, buddy.
So, yeah, so I've got the last box that Andy had in the warehouse of the World War II cover art Sherman tank.
Sweet.
And I brought that thing home and cracked that thing open. And that is now going to be my Thanksgiving project.
Technically, that is called a grail kit.
Well, I'm going to still build it. I don't like,
He
yeah,
admits it.
yes.
See,
David is an excellent sales rep for Andy's hobby headquarters and will encourage you. That was definitely my plan. So now, when I got it home, though, I started looking at this thing. Good morning, other David.
hey,
Uh,
Mr. Hummel, how you doing
Started
that?
looking at this Sherman tank, this Easy 8. just the hull without the transmission and anything on the back end and the engine. It's 12.5 inches long. I'm in Illinois now. Oh, well, cool. Yes, I'm doing good other than Papa Nurgle's infected me. Um, Jeff's just old. You were
I
the
was just sitting here.
you're the one that started that conversation. But
All right,
that
that's a
hull,
good point.
just the hull, though, raw hull of that's 12.5 inches long. And it is an amazing looking kit.
Oh, they're fantastic kits.
Yeah.
I'm in the middle of purging anything I don't need. Yeah, I have started going through all of my stuff and said if I haven't touched this in 6 months, or thought about it in 6 months, it's getting sold because I'm getting ready for Historicon and I'm gonna be in Wally's World at that flea market and I'm going to dump a ton of stuff.
Really?
And so I was every night after work I was going through my closet going, oh hey, I want to get this done. I thought about that. If I haven't thought about it or forgot I had it, and it wasn't something of monumental like, oh, this is rare, and I really want to keep it, it's gone into the pile.
Uh-oh.
And so I came across all because I've got beyond my 32nd scale Corsairs. I have a P-47, a P-38, and I believe a Messerschmitt. So I have a little bit, and I was like, I'm not getting rid of it. I'm not doing this. I'm not getting rid of these. So they managed to stay on the shelf in the closet. The rest, everything else is going to.
Yeah, I should probably do that one day, but I'm not.
Well, my situation is a little different than yours.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mine is trying to get caught up on bills. So.
Yeah, I think I'm just gonna keep hoarding until one day, when I'm long gone, some person's gonna come in here and look at all this crap and dump it off at Goodwill, and then someone's gonna reap the benefits of my hoarding. Good morning, Bethany. How are you?
Morning, Bethany. I have a funny feeling I'm going to outlive you. That's my curse is to never die and have to deal with the way my life is most of the time.
If you end up outliving me, you will get a phone call from Andy saying, "Come down here and take all this crap.
Come get this stuff.
Come get this stuff. Otherwise, it's going in, and you're going to be like, oh crap, and you're going to have to come down here and pick it all up."
See, that's Dave was very cutting into salesmanship. My superpower is not anyone really knowing that I'm immortal. I'm plagued with disease and bad luck for that entire time. It's kind of my curse.
Yeah, so, but you'll live forever.
Yeah, back when I had my aortic dissection, he said, yeah. But you got to do a lot of time on Earth before you make enough penance to come back here. Okay.
So Andy's was good to me.
Good.
But I am going to shift, though. I think I'm going to do the 1/16 Sherman for Thanksgiving now. So
I haven't decided what I'm going to do for Thanksgiving yet. So
yeah. It's a neat kit. It's actually a really cool kit. I watched all Andy's videos on building it, and I've watched a bunch of others and people reviewing it and all the usual stuff because I'm just sitting on the couch doing nothing right now. Yeah, it looks like it's going to be a fun little bit. I can't build it at my desk, though. Like, I can build parts of it at my desk, but a lot of it's going to be built outside. So in November, it will be the perfect time to sit outside on the back patio. Good morning. Good. So yeah, November will be a good time to sit on the back patio and just chip away at the massiveness of this model kit. And
Mark keeps threatening me with a buddy build with my Corsair. So I'll probably take him up on that as soon as I get things settled down here.
I think that'd be fun.
David's falling behind on getting more tanks painted for Thanksgiving. Bethany says, I hope you've planned for October before you're planning for Thanksgiving.
Oh, no. I've already got stuff planned out for October, so I'm not worried about it. I've got plenty of orc stuff to paint for October.
Well, what most people don't know is the fact that every day is October Day for me.
Yes, every day is October Day for me.
Yes.
So I've got some stuff planned for October. I'm pretty solid on that. So I'm hoping we have word on 11th edition. Are we at 11th?
Yeah. Well, the rumors are that 11th edition's on the horizon. I'm the way the Space Wolf Codex was put out rather rapidly, because it does feel rushed. I mean, it's a great codex. I'm not complaining. There's a lot of really good things, but there's other things that make you scratch your head.
Yeah.
So I would not be surprised if in 11th edition, and what I mean by 11th edition to me should be more of a fine tuning of 10th.
Yes.
But they'll slap the 11th edition moniker on it. But everything I hear, everything that I hear is 11th edition is not too far away. But we probably won't hear anything by October or Thanksgiving.
You should plan that for after Christmas.
Yeah, that sounds a good idea. I know, because you got a lot of stuff going on too. But yeah, that might be a good idea. Do it sometime starting maybe around January.
Yeah.
Just get together and do a buddy build. That'd be great. I'd love that. Like I said, I've got all my all the stuff that I'm clearing out, and I'll have more space to build then too. So.
There you go. There you go.
Should be good.
Yeah, because I'm hoping that we hear something about 11th, or maybe some of these rumors are solidified and we know what's going to be coming out in 11th edition as far as the starter box goes.
Right.
Like the big box, because I would like to think orcs are going to make a return to the starter box.
Right.
It's been a while. Age of Sigmar, they did a couple orcs in the starter box, but it's been a while since the orcs have been in a starter box.
I'm a little puzzled right now because the Space Wolf character models, Grimnar, Arjak, the Terminators, and Stormcaller all went on pre-order last Saturday. A week before yesterday,
okay.
Which means they're not released until a week from today, which would be next Saturday.
Right.
But I'm seeing guys post all over the place that they've already got
them. That's weird.
Yeah. So I checked with a couple store guys I know. They're not to put them on sale till next Saturday.
Interesting.
So I got a little panicky. I was like, I
wonder if there was just a hiccup in the giddy up and something got screwed up and some people got their stuff early.
Well, it's not screw ups. What they have started doing, like for example, the Space Wolf box, the where I pre-ordered mine had them in the week prior.
Okay.
They just can't, by their terms of trade with GW, can't sell them till the street date. And I'm finding out that some of the stores have received some stuff early. But most stores won't release until that day. But I think some stores may just be letting them loose a little early.
Yeah. Mark said he's gathering up some details that he'll be sending over to you. So I'm assuming that's about the buddy build or something else. I don't know. It seems top secret.
It is. It's a super secret Corsair thing.
Oh, super secret Corsair thing.
Yeah.
And Bethany's talking about getting stuff early. She still can't get Lucius the internal.
Colin's dealing with that right now because I'm doing an Emperor's Children build for him. And he sent, I've got tons of stuff. And I've got Fulgrim on down. But the Lucius and the there's another character who I can't pronounce his name.
Yeah, it's not uncommon in the 40K realm.
Yeah, he's a gigantic guy with a big organ on his back or something. And they didn't send me those. They sent everything else, and they sent me too many Noise Marines, but they didn't send me those two character models. So I sent some of the Noise Marines back to where he got them from, and now he's trying to find his Lucius and his the Cacophonus. There we go.
Cacophonus.
Yeah.
There you go.
That could be pronounced poorly if you're you're not wearing your glasses.
Oh God. And Mark is talking about the Corsair buddy.
I understand, and you have to. There's a certain criteria you have to go through to become allowed into that certain group of Corsair guys.
You probably have to have all 10 fingers.
And more.
And more.
Higher more than that. So,
GW has a big preview show planned for the 18th.
Oh, that'll be cool.
Is that the what convention is that? Is that the GW convention or is it Origin? I don't know what.
I'm not sure what's going on. Nova Open, is Nova Open around then?
I have no idea.
I think Nova Open's coming in August. I'm not sure when. That may be Nova Open. I don't know.
Well, and that might be a good time if they are planning a 11th edition to drop some
kind of hint or something.
Not necessarily full-fledged, because they don't want to start talking about new editions too early because then people stop buying the current edition stuff.
Yeah, that's always the thing. I'm actually checking on when Nova Open starts.
But it'll be interesting.
Nova Open's August 27th through the 31st.
David's saying it's not connected to or tied to a convention. So
they just want to have look at that. Could be.
So could be something big.
I'm not sure what James Workshop has to say, but we'll
Yeah, well, we'll find out on July 18th. We just got done celebrating our independence from the British, so
Well, my entire focus right now is on what takes place the weekend of my birthday.
Why is that?
Fantastic Four comes out on Friday,
Okay.
the 25th.
Okay.
You understand? This is a milestone for me. There have been two okay movies, a really bad movie, and then a movie that I don't even consider to be Fantastic Four. And
Which one? Where does the Roger Corman movie fit?
it's an okay movie.
Okay. Okay. I just wanted to
Yeah,
check.
it goes the two Jessica Alba films, not bad, but not great. Then the Roger Corman film, which quite frankly I should put above the Jessica Alba film, but I don't. And then there's the other thing,
Monstrosity.
atrocity that they put out.
Okay.
So I've already taken the 25th off from work,
Okay.
and I will be at the first show that day. And then my daughter and son-in-law are taking me to a show on Saturday and dinner. So yeah.
And what? So your birthday? You're watching the show on your birthday?
I'm just saying it's my birthday weekend. My birthday is the 27th.
That's what I thought. I was like,
Yeah,
okay.
so I will probably go. I will probably see it every day that weekend, if not more. Unless it's really bad, and then I'll be just disappointed and I won't want to talk to anybody. I'll be really grumpy.
So
David is
David's
saying,
mentioning 10th edition came out June 23, so he
yep,
thinks we will have another year of 10th.
could be, but rumors around the mill and people that are close to you never tell me different. So
And Age of Sigmar is celebrating 10 years, so probably some big news for that. Didn't they just? But they just came out with a new edition for Age of Sigmar, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, we'll
GW right now is hard to track.
And I don't get excited about GW news as much as I used to, because they're just kind of got a lot going on, and it's kind of a realization I came to more recently. So with GW, we look at price and everything, but GW has their fingers in a lot of different things.
Absolutely.
And I think that has a lot to do with some of their business strategies on what they're doing. So
you can call them strategies.
Well, their business decisions.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely correct. The difference is, I think the biggest thing that I've heard is they want to make some tweaks to 10th,
Mm-hmm.
which they may just put out a supplement. But the nice thing they have now, like for example with the Codex, quite technically, the week after the Space Wolf Codex came out, through their online updates, the cards are no longer valid for competitive play.
Right.
And they don't really have to worry about the printed material as much because the app's phenomenal.
Right.
And that's just basically entering the data into the app and boom.
Yeah. Oversaturation of the products and the pricing model, that's out of control.
That's a fair assessment.
It's, I think, yeah. Well, pricing has a lot to do with the supply and demand. So
yeah.
People wanting. So, but that's neither here nor there. It's just they've got some interesting strategies that they're moving through. So it's hard to stay up on the news because there's just too much of it.
Well, you can't keep up on anything because their online stuff is out so quick. It's hard to actually keep up. And I said this years ago when people talk about these new games coming out, saying they're going to topple Games Workshop. The only company that can actually impact Games Workshop technically is Games Workshop.
Yes,
they're that big now.
And and I watched a video recently, someone talking about how the concept of Games Workshop and the Warhammer has actually created the identity of tabletop miniature gaming. Mm-hmm. People call it Warhammer or they call it Games Workshop, and it's like, well, no, it's bolt action, or it's but it's just the identity that has been attached to the hobby itself.
It's hard to find somebody that, if you go to all these different miniature game companies, to not find a GW employee in there somewhere.
Yeah,
Mantic, Warlord.
They've infested the world.
Mike,
Mark's mentioning that I get the value gear details from Andy's. They have some great setups. Yes, we'll enhance the build and give you that lived-in feel. I've still got to decide on how I want to present that Sherman. Do I want to do factory fresh, like just rolling off the assembly line, or do I want to weather it and do? Yeah, I know.
Work it up.
I will. I will orc it up and do all that. I was just looking at building the tracks, and I was just like, oh my gosh, that's gonna be amazing.
I see spikes. I see a red turret. I see grots hanging from the barrel.
Oh, that would be epic. That
I,
would be epic. I
I
should do
see
that.
I see the tank treads being greased by grots that are running inside the tracks and slip and go through the wheels.
What I'll do is I'll get one of those Cromlech figures, and they have like an orc in like a trench coat and a hat, like a military looking orc, and I'll paint him up and put him standing in front of it.
And the really, for me, the best part of that thought that you actually do that, it'll be a gorgeous kit. You'll be excited, and Mark will have a stroke.
Or maybe I'll just do I'll make my own little tank platoon, and I'll put the, instead of the stars on the tank, I'll do the orc jaws, and it's a great. Yes, that is one of the reasons why I'm kind of excited about the 16th 1/16 scale.
You could also do a diorama. You could convert that big 1/16 scale tank into this like gigantic orc vehicle, and then put your little, tiny tune tanks that your grot tanks you've made up. It'd be awesome.
Paint it yellow and weather it all up and rust it all up.
It'd be great.
Yeah.
Great.
Yes. But yeah, one of the advantages to the 16 scale is the weathering. It's a little bit more forgiving when you're chipping it up and putting down your weathering powders and stuff like that. It's a little bit more forgiving because of the size.
Do you know what I'm excited about that's on the horizon?
What's that?
The new edition of Conflict 47.
I was going to bring that up. Yes. The pre-orders, I believe, went live.
Pre-orders went live. It's all plastic.
Yep. Which is awesome.
Yep. So guess what I've divulged myself of?
What?
All the old metal resin stuff.
But there'll still be a market for that, because
I know, I found it.
Some people are going to want the older sculpts, and they're going to want that aesthetic, and some people just like metal. There's a preference. Some people prefer metal and resin over plastic kits.
Yeah,
it'll be interesting to see what way they went with the plastic kits. Did they kind of borrow from how GW is doing plastic kits with hiding seam lines and all of that kind of stuff, or did they stay with the traditional glue the arms on and glue the torso on type stuff?
Well, GW has its own production manufacturing now,
right?
Warlord does not, so they've probably had to outsource it. So that would be up to whoever they outsource it to.
Mm-hmm.
So I doubt they're going to go. And quite frankly, it's a lot easier on because even though it's Conflict 47, a mech is a more military vehicle. That's kind of easier to hide your mold lines and say, like I just built a Fulgrim. You're hard pressed to find a mold line or a joint on that thing.
Yeah.
So
it'll be interesting. Tim's mentioning that they just showed the new Walker for the U.S. It looks awesome. So
I'm really excited. I mean, I have avoided the infection of Trench Crusade, which is everybody's going crazy for, and I like the aesthetic. I like how it looks.
Yeah.
But I've just avoided it because I just got too much other stuff going on. But I don't know if I'm going to avoid Conflict 47 because we had a lot of fun playing that game.
Oh yeah. Well, and they've changed the army builds, where you are using more of the weird tech, as they call it.
Where before it was just an add-on to your bolt action army.
Correct. Yeah. So, and it'll be interesting to see what they do with the rules.
If memory serves, wasn't that where we met David? Didn't David get involved in that stuff we did at IO with Conflict?
No, well, David's been around the shop for a long time.
I think my first meeting, when he came in, we were talking. He and I started talking about Conflict 47. So it may have been me that met him there. Yeah, that was the first game he and I really talked because he got involved in that before it imploded.
Yeah, I like the Conflict. Yep, that's what David's saying is. Yep,
yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, so Still like Conflict 47. I like the original first edition rules for the simplicity of what the rules represent
Right.
and the fact that you had a dual army that could be used. Because at the time we were playing bolt action, Conflict 47. About gaming, he pointed me to Conflict. Got it.
Yep.
So it was just that dual army concept. I thought it was a good game for that, just what they were offering, and I loved playing it. And I got to add some weird stuff.
Right.
It'll be. I'm gonna watch some of the. I'm sure it's gonna hit the market early. Reviewers and all those types of people will get it.
Yeah.
And they'll talk about the army construction and rule mechanics because second edition went back to old 40k edition with the blast templates and things of that nature. Which was fine, but it just kind of lost its wind and its sails locally when second edition came out. So
yeah, well, that was also, I mean, at that point in time, also Warlord had partnered up with the company that designed it, and so Conflict wasn't actually their game. But with this one, actually Warlord owns it outright.
yeah, now they can do whatever they want. They have no influence from an outside source, kind of dictating what they have to do. I'm sure through licensing agreements and whatnot. But yeah, I'm excited about it. New models, new plastics, because I had to build those crazy wolf things, and I'm out there with my drill pinning because they were all metal, pinning the arms, and that was just insane
Well,
amount of stuff.
I took all those U.S. paratroopers because they didn't have their jump troops yet. I took all those paratroopers and actually glued GW single engine jump packs on the back of all of them, and that was a lot of fun. I mean, I had a really good time with it.
I hope they bring tone the rules down a little bit so it's not like too fiddly. I don't want it to
Yeah,
be.
we'll have to see.
It needs to be a fun game because
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
well, I just want it to be just that fun, that simple beer and pretzel style game. But
Yeah. And Tim, I think anyone that carries Warlord currently will in all probability bring in Conflict.
yeah, I would think Conflict would be the one that came in. I don't now. I know when you were down in the valley, Warlord had some issues with getting product out in a
Yeah,
good way.
they always had an issue getting product out too. I think that's actually that. I think they've changed a bit on how they do things.
Good.
So I don't think that's going to be an issue anymore because I know most of the stores around here that carry don't have a problem.
Yeah, and Conflict is not going to topple 40K. It's not going to be. It's going to just be another alternative game out there for people to check out. Now, I still have my big Russian because I played the Russians in Conflict.
Right.
And when they released that big resin kit of the crawler,
Right.
I still have that, and I still haven't put it together. So if it's still in the game, I might have to do that. Oh boy. Oh, well, hey, Jake here. You just took your. I was hoping to avoid conflict. Of course.
Morning, Jake.
Yes. I don't think anyone there carried anymore. I think maybe the store in East Valley carries bolt action. Well, if they carry bolt action, then they can get conflict.
Yeah.
And I think once conflict is re-released, I think you'll see a spike in people picking it up and
and the nice thing is though, why I'm not worried about the system. Their new design team is kind of packed.
Mm-hmm.
It's got some really good ringers in it.
Yeah, so let's see what they do. I'm not gonna make any judgments. I know they've reworked the storyline or the lore behind the game because the whole idea of Conflict 47, it was after World War II, rifts opened up, weird tech came out.
It was actually during World War II when they were doing the nuclear test for the A bomb. That's what opened the rifts.
Right.
So technically, war hadn't actually stopped yet. So.
But it was the inclusion of all.
It was towards the end of the war, which extended the war with the new technology advances.
Yeah. So it'll be cool. I'm excited about it. It's just it's a dust or whatever that other.
Yeah, it is kind of a Dusk-esque game.
Yeah. So I'm excited about it.
Yeah, me too. Like I said, I was real hyped about Trench Crusade, but it came at a time that I just didn't have any room for anything else. And I think the other reason that I'm kind of excited about Conflict is the fact just in nostalgia purposes. Yeah. Because you and I played that quite a bit. And we had Tim and Adzi and then David. That's why I met David and got he and I started talking on a regular basis. So,
We had a few others that popped in that played a little bit, and yeah. And again,
yeah,
bolt action, it was just an extension of bolt action at the time.
yeah,
And that was awesome because we had a pretty good, healthy bolt action community at the time,
yeah,
and dust-ish.
dust-ish.
Yeah. And so it's just an extension of that. So yeah,
I'm real excited about it.
I can't wait. I'm looking forward to it.
I think with the new, I'm actually impressed with the people they brought in as designers. So I'm kind of curious what.
Is it still?
Well, they got Chambers. They brought in Chambers, and I think Priestley's still involved at some.
I think Priestley's heavily involved. I love Weird World War II. Yeah, Weird World War II is fun because you have a little bit of tech, but you still have, we'll just say, modern day.
You still have G.I. Joe on the ground going, what the heck? Why am I here?
They need to make a G.I. Joe figure and literally call him G.I. Joe.
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
Remember correctly, I was building my U.S. Army, and until they came out with the character model, whose name I can't remember now, I was going to just have Captain America lead.
And that's what is kind of cool about conflict is nobody would even bat an eye if you put Captain America in Conflict 47 Army.
Yeah.
He's just an easier target because he's in blue and red.
I've had a good with going through all of my stuff that, like I said, if I haven't thought about it or touched it in 6 months, it's going to Wally's World at a StoreCon. I have come and I came across all my conflict stuff, but I knew it was coming out. And there's a buddy of mine that was really interested in conflict, and I just said, "Hey, here it is. If you want it, here's the price. You can have it all."
There you go.
And so he now has it. So, and I will probably rebuild at that point in time.
Build the new stuff with the new army. Jake's talking about diesel punk robots.
Diesel punk robots, can't go wrong with that.
No. Well, that's kind of. Well, I don't know if War Machine was diesel punk, but it was kind of a different style, different vibe for War Machine.
Yeah.
It kind of had that aesthetic in a roundabout way. So
yeah, the big, gigantic, bulky mechs, and that still have that sense of reality to them as far as how they're built.
And Tim's talking about Red Skull. Yep, you could put Red Skull in there and be just fine. But they had some. It was a cool game, so I'm looking forward to it.
It's gonna be awesome. I'm really curious to see what they do with it.
Yeah.
And I'll probably dive into Trench Crusade at some point because the models are just too. I've just never been a fan of the grim dark paint style.
Yeah.
Which is what everybody's going with on that, but the concept of the game kind of intrigues me. So.
Yeah, well, because that's World War I, and it's kind of a weird, like night. Crusade. It's
kind of bizarre.
It's kind of pulling in that weirder direction, but I'm waiting for that to actually come out and hit the tables and get into retail and all that kind of stuff and see if the excitement for it continues outwards from the kick, because it was a phenomenal Kickstarter and wildly successful, and they're setting up at cons and they've put together amazing table. It's got that wartime table presence where you're putting a lot of stuff on the table, and it's really not about the open battlefield. It's about that close quarter combat stuff. It's the perception I'm getting from looking at what people are doing. But yeah, that's a wait and see thing.
The other thing I'm going to do in the StoreCon is trying to help Dave out with the painting competition that goes on there.
Dave Taylor?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if it's going to be the morning or afternoon, but I'll be there at some point when I'm not needed in Wally's World to just basically either check models in for the show or help them pick up the models after judging.
There you go. That'll be nice.
It's a nice little contest up there.
And it's close to where you live, right?
It's like 45 minutes away.
Yeah. So you just hop over. You don't have to get a hotel and do all the other.
Yep. I just buy a membership in HMGS and spend the day there. But my buddy, I'm actually piggybacking on a buddy's table. He's got a table at Wally's World. He comes down over here. His name is Nigel. He's a good guy. And I'm going to meet him there Wednesday before the show because that's when the show actually opens. And he's going to take the stuff and put it on the table. And I'm going to put it on Saturday and help him. Hopefully by Saturday, I won't have much stuff left. And then
That's the whole.
I'll help David out where I can. And Amos is going to ride up with me. He wants to enter in the competition. And see what's going on. So.
Jake's talking about he started an Infinity faction, and how much he does not like metal miniatures. Yeah, Infinity's a whole different level, though.
Oh yeah, Infinity's crazy. They're 225s, they're metal, and quite frankly, you have to try to pin most of them. Again, I've sold all of my unopened Infinity box, or I'm getting ready to. But I love Infinity. I love the concept behind it. But the minis are. It's really kind of funny because I cut my teeth with resin and metal minis. That's all they had. And now when I grab an Infinity, because they're 225s, that's the other thing GW's done. And they're what they used to call epic or heroic scale, which everything's just a tiny bit bigger. When you look at Infinity's True 25s, they can be a nightmare to build.
Yeah, they're not the simplest of things.
No.
And then we got our big paw hands going in there trying to
our big meat hooks.
Yeah, we're like, we're trying to put on like a little spike on the back of a shoulder thing or something like. And you're putting these little spikes on. Each one of them's cast individually, and here you are trying to file off the nubs and.
Yeah, it's a nightmare.
Yeah,
I have gotten to the point with my vision that on metal miniatures of that size, I have to wash them in a black ink and let the ink dry so I can see the detail. Yeah. So I know where it's easier for me to find that. Then I still have to wear my goggles to get everything on, and then trying to pin them is a nightmare.
Yeah, they're a different breed.
Yeah. Like
I picked up a War Master army from Darren. And this is the Wyvern, and it's all metal.
Right.
One of the wings popped off, and I need to pin it, but I glued it back on because I'm like, I really don't want to pin this wing on.
Well, I have to say, like I said, I used to be one of those guys back in the day, which was a
Tuesday.
I swore I'd never had plastic models because plastic that time, you saw the plastic Marines and plastic Orc, they just look silly.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm not going to go plastic. I'm going to try to find metal where I can. And that was almost a hill I was willing to die on. And then GW Plastic started coming out, and now GW Plastic, I think, are spoiling me on other plastics because, like I said, I just built Fulgrim, and I was looking forward to that build because I wanted to see how well they did it or how well they didn't do it. And it went together like a dream. I was and finding the seam lines where it's almost impossible. I mean, there's so little putty work I had to do. I mean, I haven't had to do any real putty work on it.
Yeah.
It's just, and it was a fun build. I mean, and so now I'm going. Am I going to enjoy any other plastics ever? Because that's just good.
You're getting so spoiled.
Yeah, I mean, it's a gorgeous. It's an absolutely gorgeous kit, and I'm looking at how the wolf, the Blood Claws and the Grey Hunters went together, and how the Wolfguard Battle Leader looks. They all just look fantastic. So.
Pink Horrors, not a single one of them has all their. Yes, I can't do metal anymore.
Yeah, because you got to glue. I normally glue the arm in, then I have to run a drill through it and put a pin in it to make sure that it's not going to come off because they will. And CA glue over time gets more brittle.
Yeah.
So there are times that after you've had the model for years, you go to pick it up like you always do, and an arm will fall off.
Matthew's with us. Good morning, Matthew. How are you, buddy?
Hey, Matthew.
He just did 1,000 points of Space Wolves, and he said they're awesome to assemble.
Yeah, they're fantastic. Yeah. They're so nice. And I've literally not had a chance to paint. I've painted the shield on my Wolfguard Battle Leader, and that's it. Everything else is built.
Yeah.
And now I've got Logan, Arjak, Najal, or Nayo, however you pronounce his name, and the Termies coming, which the Termies I'm so excited about. So those are all next week. And so it's just been, that's why right now I've got to focus on what I got to focus on.
Yeah.
But eventually I'll get to them. I'm looking forward to will be my 30th Space Wolf army. So.
Jake said he's going to call you when he gets to the shop if you're looking for Space Wolves.
I'm looking for an extra box of Terminators, buddy. I pretty much got everything else lined up. I just need a second box of Terminators.
Yeah. Matthew, we are doing well.
Always good to hear from you.
Yeah.
Man, I'm sorry, buddy.
I'm just going through the comments. Matthew's just asking how we're doing. We're doing good. And Bethany's talking about how she didn't understand pinning before. Yeah, a lot of people didn't understand pinning at first. We thought we just super glued everything together, and then you accidentally dropped the model from 1 inch above the table, and it just exploded. And they were like,
Yeah,
"Oh,
yeah.
this
It was
didn't
back
work."
back in the day. Yeah.
Yeah, then you're back to gluing it and pinning it, and
But that's all there was, and you got used to it, and you actually started loving it, and you go, oh, this is cool. Now you're like, we're all spoiled.
he's got you.
You've got me. You're a good man, Charlie Brown.
Yeah, and I remember like we used to buy the old metal toolboxes and we put everybody in the toolboxes and you'd come lugging the toolbox in, you'd set it on the table. Darren would yell at us if we shifted it on the table because it would scratch the paint.
Yep.
So we had to put them on the ground. It was just different time. But
You
now
know,
with the plastic,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
well, now with the plastics, we're just seeing the evolution of technology making the game better.
Oh yeah,
You
absolutely.
know, we're actually getting to witness because we all remember the old monopose, gun to the chest type Space Marines and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
The undimensional models, just had no dimension to them.
Jake has to bring up the Chaos Hell Cannon. That was
Oh my god.
always a nightmare.
Oh my god. Yeah, there was that one, and then there was the Empire. There was that coach for the Empire that was.
Yeah, the Bell, or I forget what it was called.
Yeah.
Yeah, different times. But now we're just getting to see this evolution. Models are more dynamic. I'm painting up my shield maidens for my Mortime army, and everyone is posed differently, and they have like action, like hair blowing in the wind type stuff, and it looks really nice. Two of them have mohawks, so they're kind of my Jake inspirations with the mohawks. So yeah, it's just like things are just getting better, and I, I just think it's a great time to see how things are changing. 3D printing's completely changing everything.
But
'Cause there's so many options out there with 3D printing nowadays.
it's insane. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Well, when we're seeing that evolve.
Yeah, mine was the old metal mounted Archeon on Steed. That model was so big. I used to tell people that it had a dual purpose. It played the game, but if you're feeling upset, you could throw this hunk of metal at him.
Well, I have the old Gazgul, the metal Gazgul. Like
The one I was thinking about was the steam cannon.
Oh, the steam cannon.
The old Empire steam cannon. Yeah. And Gosgold, that's another one. That thing was huge.
Oh, and it was all metal, dude. That thing's like maybe 2 pounds of just nothing but, and you had to pin the hell out of that model.
Yeah.
If you didn't, man, you were just hating life.
Well, the funniest thing is, I remember I went back in the day. You had your miniature case, and it was probably a Chessex case, or because Battle Foam wasn't around yet. You were hard pressed to find a different case. You'd always complain about how heavy it was, all the metal in there. So when I was building my Wolf Spear, I had to go down and play David, so I had to find a case to transport them. So I bought one of the Magna trays from Battle Foam that fits inside their case. And I magnetized all the bases and I put them in that. And I was so happy. Then I grabbed the thing. Oh, man, these feel like all metal now. Because that Magna rail is heavy. Argon was another amazing war machine used to be all metal. Yeah.
Well, that was a marketing thing for War Machine. Like, play like you got a pair, everything's metal, like, and it really. And they had to shift because metal just became, parts of the metal became too hard to
as I said earlier, I used to swear I'd never have plastic in my army. Now I'm like, I will never have a metal model in my army.
I still have metal models. I still like to paint them. They're great for like the display models. Like if you're just not going to play with them, you're just going to paint them up because they can get some really good detail in them, and they don't have to make a mold like you do for plastic injection.
Yeah, you just do a pancake mold.
Yeah.
Though the thing that wore me that swore me off metal this last time was when I did that Mantic metal army for their fantasy game.
Yeah, didn't you? You had a hell of a time with a couple.
Oh my! It was a nightmare. And part of it was the quality control because I would end up getting I'd have 12 blisters of something, but out of the 12 blisters, I only had enough to build 9 because there were parts missing and everything else.
Yeah.
But it was just a nightmare, and I was like, I'm never doing metal again. Oh man, Jake said he still has the metal Furioso Dreadnought. There's a hunk of metal you can toss at your opponent.
Yeah.
Or uses a boat anchor. One of the two. Like, holy cow.
Good time. Plastic for life.
The nice thing, though, if you live out where you do a lot of hunting, you can melt those down and use them and just make your own rounds. So,
We're going Patriot all of a sudden. That's what Mel Gibson did in that movie? Melted his son's little
I got
Napoleon.
I got so excited when I saw them showing miniature painting in that day because it was around, and yeah, then him melting down his son's models down to make musket balls.
Yeah.
Why does my display shelf have a crack in it? Because your army weighs 42 pounds. That's actually correct.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. You can't put those models in there. Those are glass shelves, so they will not hold the weight of those metal models.
Not recommended.
Yeah.
Not recommended. So
Oh,
yeah,
insane.
good times. Good times.
But again, what I find amazing is everything about where we're at now, and how gorgeous and how easy they are to build. And I look back to when I started, I was just as excited about the new metal stuff that was coming out. But now when I look back at them, compared them to their replacements, I'm like, why did I ever get excited about this? And it was something. And so what that does for me, though, is the excitement moving forward of what we're going to see. So
Yeah.
he melts down his son's empire, absolutely, and makes musket balls to shoot the empire with. So that's kind of poetic,
It's
but very 40K-ish.
Yeah, it is. It's exciting that we're getting to see this evolution in our hobby.
Yeah.
And there's a whole generation of people out there that will have probably never seen some of these old metal models unless they're doing some like searching on the old interwebs, or someone's doing some retro video talking about some of the old models and things like that. But
Well, I have to give her out there a warning because everyone knows the stereotype of the old man. Right. I was I had to walk to school both ways, or uphill in the snow, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
When you're at a wargaming table, or when you're painting with other people that paint in the wargaming hobby, you will find it almost impossible not to become that guy. When you're sitting there and they start talking about things, and you're like, "Pop, in my day."
You would end up gluing the arm to your finger, and you had to rip the flesh off your finger to get it free from the model.
Or the day that I had to get up and leave the room because I'm talking about how much I love squats, and one of the guys at the table goes, "What are squats?" And I just went, "You disgust me," and I left the room.
Walk away. So
I just gotta walk away. So
But
you'll
yeah,
have a hard time at that point not becoming the old guy that talks about how horrible it was in your day when you started playing the game. What goes from love becomes a chore, and it was horrible, and you had to do certain things and mix your own glue and find your own paint. So,
But we've come a long ways in the hobby, and I just look forward to seeing how things continue to evolve and
yeah,
change over
yeah.
time.
I'm waiting to see. I mean, I know we've already. I mean, one of the big steps is in the new design, the way they're made. You
Yeah.
don't have to actually have what Bob Rodolfi calls it. You don't have to be an analog sculptor anymore.
Right.
That's the sad part of all the stuff's going on. That art of physically sculpting miniatures out of green stuff will eventually become less and less prominent. But the computer design aids they have, where you actually design a model on a computer and then transfer that to have the dies cut and everything else, that's just been phenomenal. And then you add on top of that now 3D printing, and where that's going to go. It's just going to be phenomenally exciting.
Yep.
And just so it was expensive. So.
Well, that's just par for the course, and there'll still be analog sculptors out there. There'll be more boutique. They'll just be doing the boutique stuff, like the custom stuff and things of that nature. But even that's kind of shifting more to the 3D printing side of things.
The last time I talked to Bob, who was a sculptor I met way back when I was at Waterloo, when I met him at Waterloo Gilbert, and then he used to come into Waterloo North, up in Waterloo Phoenix, up when we were at 23rd and Bell, or 28th and Bell. And he was telling me it was harder. I ran into him, and he came into the shop one day when I was back out in Arizona at Darren's. And he was telling me how hard it is for analog sculptors to find, significant work now. So,
War Gods of Olympus. Yes, that's a unique game. Still has metal. All still sculpts with green stuff. So there'll still be those outliers.
But the days are fewer and fewer for ahead, because everybody's going to eventually have to switch to that stuff.
Well, didn't Infinity go to that new material for spin casting?
Yeah, they've done something
or something like
yeah,
that, or
yeah,
it's a plastic, but it melts and it goes in like a spin cast machine,
yeah.
and that's kind of like the newer.
But eventually what'll happen is what always happens. What's going on right now is a lot of the bigger companies can afford it, the smaller ones can't.
Yeah.
But as that technology
Oh,
becomes slow cast, as that technology becomes more and more available, the price will come down.
Yep.
And smaller companies will have access to it. So eventually, it's going to become an art form to be able to sculpt in green stuff as a miniature sculptor.
Yep.
There's still going to be guys out there that do conversion work and that kind of stuff with doing their own sculpting. It's not ever going to disappear completely, but it's just sad that it's gone that way. So
Going to paint it all black. You haven't bought air or spray primer in a long time. Yeah.
yeah, spray primers going up. I mean, for actual, you can go get a can of Krylon. I just had a problem with the one, so I've never done it again.
Yeah.
So, yeah, because it melted a plastic model of mine because it was just a bad
Yeah, Krylon's got its purposes, but for modeling, I just stick with stuff that's meant for modeling.
Yeah, but it's gotten expensive. The last time I went up and bought primer, it was like $22 a can.
Jake's talking about Infinity's mostly still metal. The Soulcast is for bigger pieces, and Warcrow.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
still a game that has my interest, but I just don't have time for.
Yeah. Infinity, I absolutely love. I love the concept. I love the game. I love the storyline, which is all the three criteria that's got to kind of. And the models are fantastic. The problem I have with it is I'm more exhausted after one game of Infinity than I am of a weekend of 40K.
I remember you were in a tournament once at the shop, and I think you had 3 games in that day. And by the end of the day, you were just boom.
I was wiped because I was doing. You can say what you want to about the you do your turn, I do my turn format, but one of the things nice about you do your turn, you're going to do your movement. Okay, I'll be right back, and you go grab a drink and you use the bathroom and you step away from the table for a bit. Yeah. With Infinity, you can't because there's so much going on during your opponent's turn that you have to do. It's just crazy.
Seocast thermoplastic is garbage. Which one is thermoplastic?
I have no idea.
I wonder if that's that white material that Reaper was using for a while.
Thermoplastic. It's miniature you can hold your drink in.
Oh, well, I need some of those.
I don't know.
Is it something you can just drop in your drink like an ice cube and it just...
Again, the disadvantage of being old is he's using terms now I've never heard of.
So, I'm wondering if it's or it's just both the same thing because he just put a little hash mark.
Whatever it is a language and a process that we feel is magic.
Just another name for Seocast. Oh, bones. Okay.
David, just
bones. Hey, you spent this morning getting ready for the show and you uploaded and did all the pictures, so we should probably entertain that.
Nah.
Okay.
I don't want to.
Okay.
I don't want to.
You can't make me.
You can't make me.
Hey, you got the buttons on your side of the screen, so you're absolutely correct. I cannot make you.
You're not the boss of me. No, let's do pictures.
All right. I never said I was the boss of you.
There we go. Boom. David.
David putting together. I know bugs are on one side. I can see the Tyranids on the one side.
He looks like he's got some termies there he's working on according to the instructions. There's some termies over here.
Yeah.
A lot of good stuff there. His table looks as messy as mine.
Actually, it looks better than yours.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's not enough spilled paint and stuff on the white table.
There's no tear stains on the tabletop.
Actually, my tear stains are covered by the blood stains, me bashing my head into the ground into the table. Why won't this work? Yeah. So no, it looks awesome. And I have to go back to something Bethany said earlier in the comments. Corn cares not from where the blood flows. So
painting on a white surface is brave.
Yeah. It's just, I think David sets these up. His paint area is off camera. This is where he just wants to look like he's, doesn't spill paint or.
Well, if it's a glass desktop, that would actually be ideal because you can just scrape.
I'm telling you right now, if you haven't dumped an entire pot of non-oil on your tabletop, you are not a painter.
Well, there you go.
David,
get on that.
That's like a rite of passage or whatever other wash from GW that you have that falls over easily because it's got a tall lid or bottle with an open lid, and you brush it and it falls over.
David's probably going to clear his desk off now. Just get a pot of no, spill it straight on there and take the photo.
He's just showing off now. I have not done that yet.
He probably 3D printed a holder for it, so it doesn't happen.
I hate people that are smarter than me. I dislike people that have more brains than I do. But that would be pretty much everybody I know. So I guess I might as well drop that whole moniker. So, all right. And then we got some stuff from Joe.
Joe's continuing to chip away at his projects.
Yeah, this is some serious cuffs, man.
Yeah, that's like, who are we locking up?
Yeah, well, look at how long that chain is. This isn't going to restrict this guy's movement. What you've given him is a big metal garrote.
Depending on who he's locking up.
Yeah, well, that's true. That's a good point.
Maybe he's hunting down monsters.
Look at that. There they are, walking around, looking good.
Getting ready to go slay some dragons or something.
Doing something.
Yeah. Where is Joe, by the way? He didn't chime in yet, did he?
He hasn't popped in yet this morning.
Oh. Very cool. He got a lot of them done. I don't know if this is commission work that he's doing or if he's got something else going on.
I had no idea.
Yeah. And
There's another section of that building he's working on.
The dragon laser or laser dragon.
I'm kind of curious how this looks when it's all done.
Yeah. I like that modular design.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
And Tim's working on some dead stuff. These are scary. These reminded me of critters from Doom.
It reminds me of I played an online RPG yesterday for a little bit, and that's kind of what the creatures look like. From that
I have been playing Blood Bowl 3, which has gotten really better because they upgraded the AI, and I may play a little bit of Space Marine 2 today. I don't know yet.
Good morning, Heron. How are you, buddy?
Good morning, buddy.
Yes, dead stuff. Oh boy,
this just creeps me out.
Yeah, those arms are a little bit overweighted for those legs. He missed leg day, didn't miss arm day.
No, yeah,
or tentacle day.
It's just creepy.
Yeah.
And there's some stuff that Tim's working on.
Dune Awakening game.
Yes.
I haven't played any video games. Sorry.
I'm like I said, I may do a little bit today. And then some. I am very familiar with this terrain.
Yeah, is that the Shadow War stuff, or?
Yeah, I think it's Shadow Armageddon. It's just a lot of this. Just definite GM or GW style terrain.
Yeah. Little rust effects going on. Good stuff. Good stuff. I've got like 2 boxes of that stuff I need to get put together. Yeah. That's another project for another day.
See, Tim's doing it right. Everything's kind of monotone with some rust. I would actually all those skeletons would be white. I'd be putting details, some graffiti. It'd take me months to get that done.
And this is why you don't paint a lot of terrain.
Well, I do. I just don't paint it fast. Looks good. Looking good. Great for playing. That's it. Didn't have a whole lot.
Oh, that was simple.
Yeah, didn't have a whole lot. The biggest part of my day was putting the name in them now. I'm trying to keep the name going with the name thing. I kind of like.
And then I cover it up by putting the.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I'm not a fan of the whole comment thing there. It makes me crazy.
Yeah. Well, this morning when I tried to set up the stream, StreamYard didn't want to recognize my Yeti microphone. So something's wrong. So I thought maybe it was one of the features. So I started pressing a bunch of features and different stuff, and my Yeti just wouldn't accept my Yeti anymore for a microphone. So
well, whatever. I mean, Heron said, hang in there. The wooden buildings rather reminded me of the plastic cavalry forts that come to cowboys in India. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
My Yeti's working just fine. So.
Yeah, so obviously it's not a StreamYard thing. So it's obviously something. First thing I'm going to do is change the cord for the Yeti, because that's like the simplest of things to do. Because the cord could have a short in it. It's an old cord. Dude. That's still the same cord I used back in the day when we were at IOG.
We used to stream from IO's game room.
Yeah, so maybe
that seems like a long time ago now.
It seems very long time ago. So
It was a while
So
back.
it could be the cord's bad. I'll check some other things. I'm gonna mess around with it today. I didn't want to mess around too much with it this morning because I didn't want to screw something else up.
So besides you recuperating today,
Yes.
anything else exciting planned for the weekend?
No, nothing at all. I went, I'm just sick. I'm congested. I feel yucky. So my motivation to paint is very, 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 very low, at almost non-existent.
Right?
Uh, like always, when I'm sick, I feel great in the morning time, but probably by the time the show's done, I'm just gonna go take a nap.
Big exhausted.
And I'm just exhausted. So I haven't done any work on my CUDA. I have been chipping away a little bit. So I got two more of my well, that's how my fourth went. I went to bed at 8 o'clock drinking NyQuil so I could actually sleep through the fireworks. I got two of my I'm calling them shield maidens. They're like sword masters or
Shield
sword maidens,
maidens, warrior maidens.
something like that. I forget what they're called in wartime, but I'm calling them shield maidens. I got two of them done. I've got three more that are like progressing and they should be done. So I'll post, I want to have them all done by next show.
Sure.
So that way I can show the collection of them at one time. But that puts me really close to having all of my models done. I still got six more warriors to paint up, and that will be enough to play more time.
Right.
But then I still want to add to the collection because I want to add bows in and I want to add some more warriors in just so I have more build options for the game.
Sure. That sounds fun. Yeah.
Yeah, because
Aaron, my 4th of July went very, very well.
yeah, you took a nap.
I took a nap.
Yeah, well, it was actually good weather. We had a pretty good rainstorm this week on Wednesday night, I think it was.
Yeah.
Which was great, but then it just added all the humidity, which Arizonans don't like humidity.
We've had great weather here. Humidity's been in decent control. So it's right now in the high 70s. High today is supposed to be right around 85, 86, maybe 80, 87 in that ballpark.
Yeah.
So yeah, but no, I went to my daughter's house with the rest of the family, and we had a potluck. So I spent the morning making my stuffed sausage, stuffed mushrooms. Took those over. We had a great lunch. It was a late lunch, probably early dinner.
Sure.
Then I went and sat in my son-in-law's recliner and fell asleep. Took a 2-hour nap. Got up. I guess which is what the grandpa does at family gatherings. It's a rule.
It's allowed.
It's allowed. And then went out and enjoyed fireworks with my grandkids. And then I got home really, really late. And then woke up this morning, did a lot of running around. And on the drive back from running around, I went, crap, I haven't done a picture for the show yet. So I spent, the last half hour before we logged in getting the pictures pulled together. But it was overall good 4th of July.
Fireworks legal in your state?
Yeah.
What types though? All types or?
All types.
Yeah. Okay, so you have all the crazy aerial explosions.
Yeah, well, my son-in-law, my daughter and son-in-law have a house out in the country, but it's not a farmhouse, but it is surrounded by farmhouses.
Yeah.
So while we were doing our show, which was good, it was designed for the kids. All the neighbors went like 5 levels up. So after we were done watching the one that we did in the yard for the kids, we turned and looked out to the farmland, and we almost had as good a show as any community would put on.
Yeah.
They were way up in the air. We could see them it was awesome. It was good.
David, I'm not enjoying the humidity. It is going to be over 80 degrees. It's going to be like 100 and something this week. So yeah, it's going to be humid. Victor, what's up, buddy? Still the best 4th of July show on the internet. Thank you. It's post 4th of July, but 5th of July show.
4th of July weekend, though.
There you go.
It kind of carries over. So.
Oh, yeah. The fireworks are going to carry over until the end of the month. That's just how it is.
David has some other news. I've started planning another trip to Europe in the spring to visit his mom.
Very cool.
We'll definitely go to Nottingham, although that should be a good trip.
Yeah. The weather's gross. Yes.
Gross.
Yes, it is. It's sticky. That's what we call it. Sticky.
Yeah, sticky. So my day today is after the show. I'm going to do a little bit of work around finalizing, getting my stuff ready for the show at Historicon to sell.
And when is that?
I believe it starts on the 16th, which is a Wednesday of July.
Okay, so we're probably not going to be streaming that Saturday then.
Yeah, that Saturday, which would be, let me just get you a date here. I meant to say that at the end of the show, but so I'm talking about now. The 19th, I will be
Okay.
at StoreCon, and I'm going to be there with Wally's World, and then I'm going to help Dave a bit with the contest. So no show on the 19th.
Okay.
Then after that, I got to drive to my youngest daughter's house, pick up my car ramps, and then I have to come back, and I have to simply check the transmission fluid in my Ford.
Oh
Now,
boy.
for most of you, that means opening the hood and pulling out a dipstick and
Pretty
looking at
simple.
it. Yeah, mine, no.
No.
I have to put the car on ramps and then jack up the front end and put jack stands under it so I can get under the car. I have to then start the car and let it run until the transmission warms up. Then I have to pull the drain plug out of the transmission pan, insert, for lack of a better word, a nipple into that, and hand pump transmission fluid into it. Give it a few minutes, and then pull the hose off, and whatever drains out, drain that into a collection pan. When it stops draining, I pull the nipple out, put the drain plug back in, and my transmission is full.
But when you pull the plug out, doesn't all the transmission
Nope.
fluid?
Transmission fluid. That's why you have to when you have to check your transmission fluid in your car, it has to be running. Because what a transmission does is the transmission fluid sets in a pan at the bottom.
Got it.
When you start the car, the transmission starts turning and basically sucks the transmission fluid up inside, so the pan is actually empty. But because mine is a Ford and has a weird transmission that you can't physically manually check with a dipstick and then pour fluid down that dipstick hole.
Right.
I
Like a normal car.
I have to crawl underneath it and then do that little process. And then when it stops draining, then I know. So if I pull the hose off from the hand pump, the transfer pump, and nothing comes out, it's not full yet. So I have to put the hose back on and keep pumping fluid into it until I drain it, and then fluid runs out. When that fluid stops, that means the transmission is completely full of circulating fluid, and then I can put the plug back in and done. It's going to take me about an hour and a half.
Yeah, to do something that takes me about 5 minutes.
Yep.
Yeah. David's going to be at Andy's today working, selling the mountains of plastic that Andy has accumulated in his shop.
I so missed not having Andy's down the road.
Dude, you would be broke.
I would have a better. I mean, I have such a hard time now for me to find tools and accessories and everything else. Cause I got to drive. I've got like a 70-mile circle around me that has maybe 6 stores in it that are worth stopping at. So I start at the closest one, and then I work that ring around until I hit the store until I gather up what I want. So.
And then tonight he's working on his dreadnought. Very cool.
Ooh, a Brutalis dreadnought, which is awesome.
Is there a new shop open? Well, there's a shop in Surprise that recently opened called Hobby Forge.
I think he's talking about. Andy's big shop because his new shop open. Andy's new big shop is open now, right?
Yes. It's been open for a while. It's off of 91st Avenue in like Lower Buckeye or something. It's over in Matthew. It's over at Matt. It's up in your neck of the woods.
Woo-hoo.
Swing on in there and meet David, and he'll tell you stuff. It's stuff you didn't even know you wanted.
And as we established early on in the show, which you should have seen, man, you should have been early to see just how cunning and skillful David's selling abilities actually are.
Yes.
Master salesman, absolutely. And because Mike didn't even know it was being sold.
I didn't realize it, but he hook, line, and sinker. But now I feel like I bought the last Sherman Easy 8 with the World War II art on it with the old tracks.
And you don't feel any guilt about building it?
I'm not a one.
Well, because I know how you are. You're going to keep the box for other stuff, so the box will be around forever.
Well, I'm gonna put my Killacan in it because it's
my point exactly.
Or my what's the big oh my gosh. I don't even remember the name of it.
It's called a Mega something.
Yeah, I'm gonna put that.
Whatever it was. It looked cool.
It'll fit beautifully in there. So yeah. It's an amazing box.
That's fantastic. That's awesome.
To store stuff. But the tank will not fit back in the box once it's built unless I take the turret off and set it in there like sideways or something, because the turret and the tank barrel and all that's just too long.
I'm also having a need, an urge, a craving for another breakfast cereal Saturday morning cartoon show.
Just tell me when, buddy.
Yeah. So
just tell me when.
We all get our favorite breakfast cereal, and we just sit down and celebrate the days when Saturday morning cartoons entertain us.
That's kind of a Victor thing, because Victor
is
comparing us to Saturday morning cartoon.
Yeah. Well,
and I think one day it just all kind of naturally came.
We have been compared to the Saturday morning cartoon and whose names elude me now, but the two old guys in the balcony on the Muppet Show.
Yes.
Which both are accurate.
Yes. Heron, yes, it's a 1/16 scale, easy 8 Sherman, and it is an amazing kit. The amount of detail that they were able to do at that scale just really brings it to life.
Yes.
But then I have the usual problem. Where do I put it when I'm done?
Where to store this gigantic? Well, I have the same problem with my Corsair. Yeah. Mine's not so much the height as it is the width with the wings out.
A lot of people hang the planes flat like a picture on their wall.
I have no idea what I'm going to do. I'll figure it out. But it's a great problem to have.
You should put it upside down on the ceiling in the living room, so it looks like it's flying upside down.
I could hang it with the prop as a ceiling fan.
There you go. There you go.
Steep climb. That'll work.
There you go. Now we're talking.
I'm just going to mount on the hood of my Ford.
Maybe you'll get some lift.
Well, something's got to help. I didn't tell you. I went in to get parts, some stuff for the Explorer. I forget what. I was picking up some fuel injection cleaner. And I pull in and I park. I was outside of an auto parts store here in Elkton. And there was a newer model white Explorer already parked in the parking lot. And I pulled in right next to him with a space between us. And the guy's walking out as I walk in. He goes, "Oh, another white Explorer." And as I walk past him, I go, "Well, I hope yours isn't as big a piece of shit as mine is." He just walked right by, went on in the shop. And I when I got in there, I realized, man, that was kind of rude. And I turned and looked at him. He just had a grin on his face, looked back in and waved and went on. I think he understood what I was talking about, because they got the name Ford Exploders for a reason. So,
yes. Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Well, we're going to go ahead and cut out of here. I think my energy level is...
You're starting to get a little...
I'm fading quickly. I'm going to the miracle.
Tomorrow?
No, this is part of my taking every Sunday off for the whole month.
Oh, that's right. Okay. All right. Well, good. I don't have to do that.
It really sucks getting sick on one of my vacation weekends, because I've done nothing all weekend.
Yeah, I can see that.
But I'd rather just get it over with. I'll get back to work. I'll just deal with it. Yeah. I got PTO. I can do all kinds of things with it.
There you go.
But yeah, we're gonna cut out of here. We'll be back next weekend. Same bat time, same bat channel, and and we'll post pictures. Hopefully I'll get all my Shield Maidens done this week, so I can get some pictures up so you guys can see the work I'm getting done, and then start cranking away on the rest of this war band so I can get this game on the table.
Hopefully this week I can actually start getting some painting done and start having some more picks, because I just haven't got a lot of time to paint. Not that I don't want to. I've been with my Space Wolves and the commission work I've been wanting to paint. I've just got so much other stuff going on right now.
Yeah. Well, we'll get there.
We're
out. We'll see you next week.
See ya.